Hi there YouTube. Today I'd like to talk about removing the stigma of the terms MGTOW, anti-feminism, etc. Now, the men's rights movement and the anti-feminist movement, not to be confused, of course, because just because you're anti-feminist doesn't mean to say you're pro-men. It just means you're not really pro the feminist agenda. But putting that to one side, possibly for another video, we have an image problem. If you're not into the world of feminism, you have an image problem. There is an image problem with feminism, again, possibly for another video, but certainly in the world of anti-feminism, exactly, if you like, the world of MGTOW specifically has a really bad reputation. Of course, MGTOW specifically don't actually care in many ways that they have a bad reputation, because the whole definition of MGTOW is men going their own way. In other words, we just kind of go, you know what, you do your own thing, but we're just going to go over here and do our own thing and not really worry about other people, which is, you know, one of the many definitions. Living life for ourselves, I suppose, is the best way to put it. And if ourselves involves women, well, there you are, but we're going into it with our eyes open. I digress. It has a stigma. So even in the media, as it's waking up and they're talking about, anti-feminist views, even, the media who realised that, feminism isn't really helping anymore. It's mad. It's gone insane, basically. They hold up the world MGTOW and some of the harder anti-feminist people, and they hold them up for ridicule. They don't just talk about them on their other side. They don't just say, well, if you're not a feminist, you have alternative view. They actively demonise people like MGTOW and other anti-feminists and stuff like that. They paint them as idiots and angry people and things like this. And it set me thinking. I was watching a video the other day, and I'm terribly sorry, I can't remember who it was, but they just referred to themselves as a red pill person. They didn't say they were anti-feminist, they didn't say they were MGTOW, anything like that. They just referred to themselves as a red pill person. And this really, in the definition of that, it was somebody who's woken up, because as we all know, red pill, blue pill. It's the whole point is, the Matrix reference of take the red pill, you see the truth. All we're offering is the truth. Now, I may well have come to the party very late, and what you're hearing now, you're listening to me and going, well, of course, Womble, you're talking, I knew that, I realised that. Well, I have to admit, this was news to me when I only heard it 2 or 3 days ago. And I thought to myself, what a good idea to use the term red pill purely to mean somebody who has woken up to the reality of the world. And this doesn't necessarily mean someone who is, in the MGTOW anti-feminism movement of any description. It just means just that. It's a generic term that means somebody who has woken up. And you can use that in any context, really. But it suddenly made me think that if you use that term as the more generic term, I mean, depending on, it's context specific. If you're a red pill person, I don't know. I'm going to abandon that thought. If you're a red pill person in the world of sexual politics, then you've understood the truth about sexual politics. If you're a red pill person in the world of finance, there's a good one. You've recognised the truth of finance, or you've recognised the truth in the military isn't always going to be nice and fluffy. Anyway, I'm going off topic, but the idea is, if you just use the term red pill rather than then tying it down to a specific subcategory, then using the context, it's obvious what you're talking about. If you talk about, relationships with people and you say you're red pill, then it goes without saying, and you can describe things better to people. You can then, once you've kind of wheedled them in, you can then explain about the world of, anti-feminism, MGTOW, etc. But some people will be turned off instantly because they've followed, again, I mean, in the mainstream media, again, MGTOW is very demonised. So if you come up to somebody and they say, well, what's your view on feminism? They say, MGTOW. Oh, well, I know, I've watched TV shows where MGTOW is mentioned and you're a demon. Whereas if you say, what's your view on feminism? You say, well, I'm a bit red pill. Oh, what do you mean red pill? Please explain. It eases people in. It's not quite such a pejorative term or a derogatory term. And it was just a thought. It just hit me. And I thought, yeah, if we just use the term red pill, it removes the stigma. Now, that's not to say there should be anyone, including myself, embarrassed to call themselves MGTOW or anti-feminist at all. It's not a level of embarrassment. Absolutely not. I'm MGTOW and proud. But it's very much a way to ease in people who don't necessarily understand the truth, know the truth, work it out. People who haven't quite woken up. It's just a nice way to ease them in to our way of thinking. Just a thought.